This sounds to me like an exercise in politics, not in security. I think that events since then have only emphasized the harm that those kind of political calculations have caused. I know that Ginger is going to talk some more about some of these harms. I'm sure you want to have time for questions. So I'm just going to take the speaker's prerogative and respond to one thing that Ms. Walton said. She promised us that we will have new security procedures in the coming months. And you know, emphasize that they would be identity-based constructs that would identify people who were harmful in the traveling public. It's my contention that we tried that already. It was called CAPS 2. And that procedure, which began as a process whereby we were going to identify people using commercial databases and give them threat assessments and screen them. It was a terrible idea. It was strung out over years and years. Eventually it was killed by, I think it was Secretary Chertoff. And now it's back again. So I guess what's old is new. You know, we're really harming people every day in incremental but significant manners, and we're harming our liberties too. So I hope that when we're doing our balancing test, the American public's harm can be weighed against any political calculus. Thank you.
All right, finally we have Ginger McCall. Ginger is the Electronic Privacy Information Center's Open Government Council and IP/IOP Program Director. She works on a variety of issues at EPIC, including consumer protection, open government requests, amicus curiae briefs, and national security matters. She litigates EPIC's Freedom of Information Act lawsuits and is co-editor of Litigation Under the Federal Government Laws, 2010.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, and thank you to Ms. Walton for being here. I deeply respect the fact that you are here, and this is a difficult venue. However, we have some factual disputes between TSA and what we found in our FOIA documents at EPIC. So we've been working on this issue at EPIC since about 2007, and we actually had a difficult time getting more information on it, so we decided to file a Freedom of Information Act request. And we've filed several of these requests now with the TSA. Our initial request was for contracts for these machines, technical specifications, traveler complaints about the machines, images that were produced by the machines, and training manuals. We've subsequently made requests for information about the automated targeting machines, information about the radiation tests. There have been experts who've expressed concern over the radiation that is passengers are dosed with when they go through these machines. So we requested any sort of independent testing data on the radiation effects of these machines. We also requested updated technical specifications. This request came out of a hearing that we attended earlier this spring, where the TSA said that, in fact, the technical specifications that we had been given as part of our Freedom of Information Act request were now outdated. So we said, all right, that's great, we'd like the updated information, and we sent a request out to them. We've had a very difficult time getting any information out of the TSA. Under the Freedom of Information Act, they are required to respond to our request within a certain amount of time. This has never happened. We filed requests, we filed appeals, we end up filing lawsuits, and filing a lawsuit is really the only way that we ever get any information out of TSA about these machines. So we did file a lawsuit for our initial request, and we did get some documents from TSA. The technical specifications, procurement specifications that were actually authored by TSA. These specifications lay out to the companies manufacturing the machines what the TSA wants these machines to be able to do. We also received hundreds of pages of traveler complaints. We were unable to, unfortunately, receive the images produced by the machines and the training manuals. But what we did get showed us several important things about these machines. These documents showed that the machines were, by TSA's requirement, designed to be able to store and transfer images in test mode. The test mode could be turned on by certain individuals at TSA. that the privacy filters in these machines that TSA had publicized could actually be turned off, and that these machines were not necessarily designed to pick up powdered explosives. Now that last part is very important. The effectiveness of these machines, we're being told that we should be trading large amounts of privacy in order to receive security back. But the machines were not designed to pick up the kind of powdered explosives, the threats that we're now facing, the PETN, these improvised explosives. And Rapiscan's website actually confirms this. If you look at their website, they have a page on the Secure 1000, which is the device that's been rolled out to the airports. These machines were designed to pick up high-density objects. It's a hard plastic or metal. They were not designed to pick up low-density objects such as powdered explosives. We also found in our FOIA documents that the traveler complaints showed us that the opt-out that TSA had been talking about is in fact illusory. I think a lot of what Ms. Weldon has said here is very compelling. I think that if the reality on the ground were the same as the ideal reality that TSA is putting forth, perhaps there would be less of an objection to these machines. But what we're seeing on the ground is that there's no signage. You can walk through the airport security line and you're not going to see a single sign about what these devices were. I flew through Baltimore Washington International Airport about 2 months ago to speak on this very topic in Texas, and I didn't see a single sign while I was there standing in line. The only sign that I saw when I was about 2 feet away from the machine, and it was a sign that was about as big as this 8x10 piece of paper, and all it had was a picture on it that had been produced by the machine, and it just said, "This is a millimeter wave machine." No mention of the opt-out, no mention of the possibility of a pat-down, and no signs early enough in the line that you would actually be able to make a meaningful decision about whether or not you wanted to go through this machine. What we've also seen is that the pat-down is not really a viable alternative. If you're concerned about privacy, you're not going to opt out of the whole body imaging machine in order to get an enhanced pat-down, which involves a TSA agent groping your breast or your genitalia. It's not a viable alternative. It's no more privacy protective than these machines are. So EPIC decided to file suit. We filed suit under the 4th Amendment of the Constitution and several federal statutes. The first statute that we filed suit under is the Administrative Procedures Act. And this act describes for agencies what they need to do if they want to create a new role, if they want to start some new procedure that will affect the American public. And the act requires agencies to start a public notice and comment rulemaking. This allows the public to give their input on whatever the agency is thinking about doing. Unfortunately, in this case, the TSA decided that this doesn't apply to the body scanners, and so they would never implement this public notice and comment rulemaking. So we looked at the APA and discovered that in fact they are required to do this, and so we listed that under a lawsuit as one of the things that we were filing suit over.